stuck again. Goodness. Oh dear, that's what that's gonna be. Okay. Hello and good morning. My name is Delilah and today I thought we'd do kind of a little chit chat slash catch up. It's been a while since I've just sat down and talked to you guys face to face, like face to camera, I guess. I feel like since I stopped doing the family vlogs, I've lost some of that personal side of things with you guys. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to just sit down and catch up while making cookies because that's what we're doing today. My daughter wanted to have a cookie slash lemonade stand at a garage sale this weekend. And of course, as a homeschool mom, I felt this was oh, there is a cat in our backyard. Daddy's not gonna like that. And of course, as a homeschooling mom, I felt this was a perfect teaching moment. So we are seizing the opportunity. I had Eloise making cookies with me yesterday. She was packing them up and getting them ready to go. We need to make some more. She's not at home today, so I'm gonna do this part for her. I thought this might be kind of fun to do together, kind of like you're sitting here with me, you're over for coffee, kids are in the other room playing, and we're just hanging out in the kitchen making some cookies. The weather is a little wild today. We've got lots of cloud and then the random spot of sun. We might be battling the lighting a little bit, but that's okay. We are making chocolate chip cookies. I think I've made this recipe before, but I'm not sure. I haven't nailed down a good chocolate chip recipe yet, so we're gonna try this. There's been a lot going on in our lives lately. It's been a wild couple of weeks. A lot of unexpected things came up. Honestly, we haven't even been home a whole lot, so it feels really good to have been home this week and actually just spend time here, being slow and being still. Yeah. It's crazy to think that just 1 week ago, Zach and I were in BC. Yes, Zach and I were in BC. We had no intentions of being in BC, but things just kind of happened that way. I shared the story on Instagram, but a number of you were asking if I could share it here as well. So I'm gonna talk about the story of our new van, or our new to us van. Last week we bought a new vehicle and we are thrilled about it, but it was totally unexpected. And the story in itself is just a testament to God's provision. And it was so cool the way that it all worked out. We have been in the market for a new van for a little while. Our old van was doing great, it had treated us well. It was an awesome van, we loved it. We made so many memories in there. We are the kind of people who don't like brand new vehicles, or at least I am the kind of person who much prefers an older vehicle. The new vehicles just feel way too fancy for me. So we were very happy with our old van. It was treating us well until all of a sudden it wasn't treating us so well anymore. We had put a lot of kilometers on it. We knew it was getting to the end of its life, but we didn't want to give it up quite yet. So we were sticking it out. Some of you might remember, if you follow me on Instagram, back in December, I think it was. We were on a little weekend trip in Edmonton and our van just broke down. It just stopped working. It was late at night. We were in a city not our own. Our van was packed full with all of our stuff, our 4 kids, and it just stopped working. It was a very expensive fix, but we managed to get ourselves safely home and we managed to still enjoy the weekend. That was the first big thing that went wrong. I'm making a triple batch of chocolate chip cookies, so it may seem like I'm putting a lot of butter and sugar in here, but there's a good reason for that. So after that big fix, it was good for a little while. We drove it for some time and then the back shocks needed to be fixed. So we took it in to get that fixed and some regular maintenance stuff, nothing big. But then we got it back and then started making a clunking sound. And so we had to get that fixed. And then we got it back and it started making another sound. And so we had to bring it back and get it fixed. In the last month or so, it has been in the shop 5 times. Every time we got it back, something else was wrong. We have spent way too much money into that van already. It's almost not even worth the amount of money that we put into it at this point. So we just felt really done and we knew it was time to get a new vehicle. And not to mention, like, we're a family of 6. If we don't have our van, we can't go anywhere. We're stuck at home. We just couldn't keep doing that anymore. The plan was to hold on to this van for as long as we could. We felt like that time was up. I don't love vehicle shopping. It's stressful for me. We are firm believers in buying used vehicles. Financially, we believe that is by far the best decision we can possibly make, and I don't think anyone could convince me otherwise. So it wasn't just a simple go to the dealership and buy a new vehicle. Zach was hunting for a new van. But if we were gonna get a new van, we wanted to get a van that was gonna last us a really long time. We didn't want to be spending a ton of money into a new vehicle at this time, but we also didn't want to cheap out and run into all these same issues again. So basically we were looking for a really good deal. We had our eye on a Honda Odyssey. We liked the touring edition. We liked that the features that it included. We had our list of wants and we had our list of needs, and that van seemed to fit what we wanted most. So we nailed down the vehicle we wanted, but the problem was they are overpriced and hard to find where we live. So we were looking for a while. It was starting to feel like it might not happen for a really long time. It was starting to feel a little bit overwhelming and almost impossible, but we knew that this was in the Lord's hands and He would make something happen in His own time, in His own way. And just when it was starting to feel impossible, Zach found an ad for a van exactly what we wanted. Like every last feature and detail was exactly what we wanted. The price was right, like everything, but it was in BC. So Zach inquired about it. He started to look into flights and he started to look into hotels. We were asking ourselves, like, doesn't this seem a little bit excessive? Like to fly somewhere, to pick up a van and drive it home, like isn't that a little bit crazy? Zach did all the number crunching and he figured out that the cost of all this was still going to be cheaper than if we were to buy locally. Like the cost of travel and hotel stays and taxes and all the little things that you need to think about, it still saved us so much more money to actually travel to BC, get this van and come home. And so I just prayed and I said, Lord, if this is your will, let it happen. Like open the doors, make it happen. But if this is not your will and we're just getting excited and trying to do things our own way, then Lord, close the door, because I don't want to do anything that's not in your plan. And He opened the doors wide open. Every little detail started falling into place. We were able to drop off the kids for a couple nights. And so last week, Zach and I dropped off the kids, packed up Annabeth, got up at 4 in the morning, got a ride to the airport, and flew to BC. I gotta mix this up, hold on. I hadn't flown in 7 years. The last time I had been on a flight was when I was pregnant with my first child. And now here I was all of a sudden on a flight holding my 4th baby in my arms. It was a crazy experience. Now of course there was also the risk of flying all the way there and the van not being what we had anticipated, but we had gotten all kinds of information about the van. We had gotten a lot of videos and photos of it, and it seemed like everything was good. We got there, we got to the dealership, everything was great. We got the paperwork all figured out and it was a done deal. Just so quick and easy, and it was just a weird experience. How many eggs do I need for this? 6 eggs. Maybe this was a really bad way to film this video because I don't remember what I was saying. I have not yet mastered the art of multitasking. Everything worked out beautifully, like God's hand was just all over it. It was amazing. But then we have to drive 18 hours back home. If you don't know where we live in Saskatchewan. So it's Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC. It's a 2-hour flight, but it's an 18-hour drive. So here we are with our baby and our new van, and we have to drive 18 hours home in 1.5 days. Zach's parents were watching the kids, and we didn't want to inconvenience them more than we already had. Not to mention, it was Mother's Day weekend that weekend, and we had plans, and so we really just did need to get home within that time frame. But everything just worked out so beautifully. Annie is a dream traveler, and I never thought that would be the case, because when she was a newborn, she hated her car seat. She screamed and she screamed, but she did so good throughout the entire process. The flights, the waking up early, off her routine, the long drive, many hours in her car seat. She did phenomenal. And so we managed to get all the way home by the next day. So in 2 days, we flew to BC, bought a new vehicle, and got home again. The Lord just provided in such a fun, unique way, in a way I never expected. And that's something that He's been teaching me recently, is to just trust Him, because He's got a plan. He's got us taken care of, and His plan is rarely what we expect or even want. I was just reading in Numbers the other day about the bronze snake, how the Israelites had grumbled and complained and disobeyed, and God sent the snakes to attack them. And when they cried out to God for help, they asked for him to take the snakes away. But he didn't take the snakes away. Instead, he commanded Moses to make a bronze snake and to put it on this pole so that every time someone was bitten by a snake, all they had to do was look at that snake and they were instantly healed. So he took care of them. He answered their cry for help, but in a very unique way. Yeah, that was a really cool way that God has worked in our life recently. And so we have a new van and it's really exciting. It's perfect for us. On our way home, Zach and I were looking at it and looking at all the fancy features it has, and we were like, is this too much? It was just perfect, and I'm so grateful. Oh dear, I just spilled salt all over my cover. I underestimated how much this is gonna make because there is no way this is gonna fit in my mixer. I should have done a double batch. We're gonna try. It worked. Made a huge mess though. Now that is a bowl of cookie dough. Ay. What did I do? My mom was the mom who let us lick all the spatulas. She didn't have any for herself. I am the mom who makes my kids share their spatula with me. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to some questions that you guys have asked me. I did go to Instagram. I was curious to see if there's anything that you guys want to know because it has been so long since we've chatted. And you guys had a lot of good things to talk about, lots of good questions. So I'm going to answer a few of those today. See, the thing is I always want to film these types of videos, but I never know what to say. I'm the kind of person who just doesn't have a lot to say unless someone prompts me or asks me questions, and then I have all the things to say. But unless someone starts that conversation, I'm very quiet. Discuss the type of help/village you have around you. It's rarely talked about in this YouTube scene. So I certainly do not do this alone. I have help. My mother-in-law for many years has taken the kids every Friday, which is where they are today, just to hang out at her house. They play with their cousins and they enjoy quality time with Gammy, which gives me an awesome opportunity to get things done at home, such as filming. Of course, Annie's not quite old enough to go there yet, so she hangs out with me, which is another fun thing about Fridays, is I get some quality time with Annabeth. That is something that she's always wanted to do. Since we first started having kids, she always said she wanted to help out, she wanted to babysit, and so that is something that she does for us. We do live close to family. Both of our parents are close by. When we need somewhere for the kids to be temporarily, like when Zach and I went to go get the van and we need to drop the kids off for a couple of nights, our parents are here and they're available as much as they can be, which is amazing. We love living close to family. There is that help close by, we have that village, but also our kids get to grow up really close with their Gammy and Papa and aunts and uncles and cousins. We find so much value in that. That's a huge reason why I don't think we will ever move away. So aside from family being close by and helping out with the kids and stuff, we also Hi! We also have church family and friends who have really stepped up to help us, especially like in postpartum season when Annabeth was first born. People were bringing us meals constantly and it was amazing to have that support and that help. One more recent development has been hiring help for work. I used to do everything on my own, all the emails, all the sponsorships, all the filming, all the editing, everything. And obviously the more kids I had, the busier we got, and the more I realized this is just not going to work anymore. I need help. I've actually hired my friends to help me out, which has been really cool. I have one friend doing my business email, so she'll answer emails there, she'll forward things to me. She also manages comments and DMs, so if you've ever reached out to me through my business email or through DM on Instagram, you've probably heard from her before. She is just fantastic and she is just such a sweet, sweet soul, and she has helped me tremendously in my work, and it's been amazing having her help me with that. And then recently I hired an editor, also one of my friends. So hi Danielle, thank you for editing this video for me. I appreciate you so much. Oh, might almost be bedtime, hey? Let's pause for a second. I gotta put Annie down for a nap. Whee! That whole situation, again, is just another incredible story of God's provision. I've been able to bless her and she's been able to bless me in such a really cool way, and it's deepened our relationship and it's been really, really cool. So she edits the baselines of my video, she gets everything clipped and cut and into place, and then I will go in afterwards and add music and some final details. But that has saved me so much time and has freed up so many of my evenings, and it has been just the biggest blessing. Maybe an update on finance goals, how you guys budget, income stuff, etc. I feel like maybe I could do a whole video dedicated to this, and maybe I will in the future, because the way that our finances have changed over the years has been pretty significant. In the very beginning of our marriage, we were very budget oriented. Well, not necessarily budget oriented, but we were very, very, very cautious. We spent very little money. Like, we were just starting out. We were being very wise with how we were spending our money. As we started getting our feet on the ground and we started making a little bit more income, my business started to take off. We got a little bit more lenient with our spending, but we also started setting a lot of money aside into savings accounts. We were trying to be good stewards with what the Lord has blessed us with. We really don't budget, but more recently our income has started to dwindle again as I'm taking steps away from YouTube. YouTube's been doing some funky things as well, and so my income isn't as much as it used to be, and so we're starting to be all the more aware of our income and how we are spending our money, and just trying to be very wise with our spending, especially considering we have 4 kids to take care of and to feed and to clothe and to buy stuff for, and so we're just trying to be very mindful. We're trying to do things like thrifting as much as possible, buying secondhand, like our van. We got a very, very good deal on our van, whereas we could have spent a whole lot more money buying even one locally or one brand new, but we managed to save a lot of money by waiting and finding a good deal. Before we buy something, we really try and ask ourselves, like, is this really necessary? Do we really need this? I've been refraining from buying a lot of stuff, especially recently, just because we don't need it. And I've come to realize that the more we buy, that means the more things I have to take care of and the more of my time it takes. We have a ton of toys in the house. Do you know how much work it is to maintain those toys and to keep them organized and to find spots for them and to clean them? Like, it's so much work. And so if I am spending less money on toys, we're bringing less into our home, we're not only saving money, but we're saving time, and it's very freeing to not have a lot of stuff. I've also been trying to make a lot more of our foods at home. I've been making all of our breads, our baked goods. Cookies are ready. Recently, I've been trying to make a lot of our snacks at home because snacks can get really, really expensive. Honestly, I feel like I could do an entire video on this. Both Zach and I are very grateful for how our parents raised us to be very financially conscious, how to save and how to invest our money and make good decisions with our money, and we are very, very grateful for that. Any fun trips planned this summer? Nothing too crazy, but a couple things. We do have a family trip planned in the next month, which is really exciting. There will be no video that week because we'll be gone for an entire week. We'll be in BC. And then we have a couple weekend things we want to do with the kids. In summer, we love doing a lot of small weekend local trips and just exploring where we live and what's around us. Those little trips are also a lot easier to do with a lot of kids than going on a longer trip and traveling far and flying somewhere. It's just a lot easier to do a lot of little road trips instead. We would love to go to Cypress Hills with the kids. Zach and I were there not too long ago for one of his jobs. It was really cool. We saw a lot of fun stuff that we think the kids would really like, so we want to go there for a weekend. There's also sand dunes close by, Saskatchewan sand dunes. We want to go see that. And then another weekend we want to go to Calgary. We want to visit some friends. We want to go to Callaway Park, Heritage Park, the zoo, places like that. Normally at this time of year, we are doing a big trip to BC. We're visiting friends and we're exploring and doing stuff. We go to BC often, but because we're going to BC with Zach's family in June, we decided to put that trip off until fall. And so we're gonna try going to BC in fall if everything works out. And yeah, we're really excited for that. It's really fun and exciting making these plans and dreaming these dreams, but I also am trying to keep a very realistic mindset of summers are busy in general, and if it doesn't happen, that's okay. You know, all these plans we want to do, Lord willing. Do y'all ever plan to homestead, and what's your next task to learn? We would love to homestead. That is our dream, to have like a really small farm or like an acreage and have some animals, like some chickens, maybe a cow, and a big garden. That's our dream. However, I don't see that happening anytime soon. That is like our long-term goal. One day we would love to do that, maybe when the kids are a little bit older. Whenever the Lord opens an opportunity, if he ever does, that is something that we would love to do. But right now we don't feel called to that, and we are very content living where we are. There's still a lot of plans that we have for this home and lots of things we want to do to it to make it our own. We really love living where we are. Maybe one day. Next task to learn though is honestly just other stuff in the kitchen. Like I want to do kombucha. I used to make kombucha a long time ago. Even before I had kids, I was making it. And I just kind of stopped doing it. So I want to start doing that again. I want to learn how to make different cheeses. I want to learn how to do different baked goods. Zach wants to learn how to hunt. He'd really love to shoot a deer and get deer meat for us, which would be really cool. And he wants to learn how to butcher and to do all that stuff. He has actually started to learn that this spring. He butchered half a pig for us and he did a really good job. We want to relearn all of these long lost skills, like how to garden well and how to cook from scratch. In our world today, these skills are lost. We believe there is so much value in just knowing these things, and we think it's really important, and we want to learn that, and we want to be able to teach our kids that too. We just want to get back to our roots. We have a yearning and a longing to learn those skills again and get back to that. Did you delete old vlogs? I did. All of the personal family vlogs I've taken down from YouTube. In that time and in that season, the internet was different. Things were different. My kids were younger. And now as the internet changes and my kids are getting older, my eyes have been open to a lot of the weird stuff that goes on online, and I long for privacy, and I really want to respect my children's privacy as well. I've chosen to be online, but that wasn't my children's choice. And so to put my children online and to expose so much of their personal life, it does not feel right. And so I have not been sharing them. I share very little about my children and slowly sharing less and less. Right now in this day and age, that's what feels right. I still feel called to be here and to share things, but not so personally. What has it been like adjusting to life with 4 littles? Surprisingly easy. Honestly, when Annie was born, life just like continued on almost as if normal. Not in the sense that I was like jumping back into life right away and doing everything I used to do. The postpartum season was very slow and I took things easy, but it didn't feel weird. It didn't feel overwhelming. It just felt right. The newborn season was a little bit difficult with Annabeth, but I just really leaned on the Lord in that time and I took it easy. It was a really beautiful time despite that. There was never once that I felt like this is too much or wow, we have 4 kids, I can't believe that. It just felt right. In fact, I actually catch myself a lot of the time looking at my children and feeling like there's one missing. Like there's somebody sleeping in the other room, or there's like, I don't know, I keep looking for another head to count, but there isn't another one. And it's kind of funny because I've never felt that way before. And you'd think I would feel the opposite way after having 4 kids, but it just feels right. Tips for making more things from scratch. Oops. My advice is to just do one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't jump in and just start trying to do everything all at once. Just one thing at a time. It's been a long journey for me, and I'm still on that journey of learning how to do more and more things at home from scratch. I think a lot of the time people will see that I'm making a lot of stuff from scratch or hear me talking about it and think that they can just jump in and do the same thing, but then it starts to feel really overwhelming and they don't know where to start. But what people don't realize is that I have been learning this stuff over many years. I never used to make things from scratch like this. All the stuff that I now make from scratch, I had to learn. I started with sourdough and just making basic loaves, and then I started making yogurt, and then I started making mayo. Slowly started to build up the foods in that category of made from scratch. Okay, this is getting to be a very long video, so I'm just gonna answer one more question. You guys had awesome questions this time, so maybe I'll have to do another video like this soon. The last question I'm gonna answer is, how do you and your spouse share parenting/home tasks? There are certain tasks that Zach is more suited for, and there are certain tasks that I am more suited for. And so there are some tasks that he does, some tasks that I do, but then there are also some shared tasks in between. Things like taking care of the vehicles. Anything vehicle related, that is not my area of expertise. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't really care, but he does, and that's great because we balance each other out. So he takes care of all things vehicle. But for him, cooking is not his area of expertise, and so that's where I come in. I'm in the kitchen, I do all the cooking, all the baking, all of that. I also take care of laundry. Not that he can't do that, but that's just a role that I've taken on myself. Meanwhile, he takes care of taxes and finances, and I'm so grateful that he does those things because I would be so lost if I had to do those things myself. But when it comes to things like taking care of the house and keeping the house clean, that is where we work together. Look at these cookies. They turned out really good. I'm gonna leave this recipe below because this is great. So when it comes to things like homeschooling and homekeeping, I would say I do a majority of that because he's often out of the house working, but it's not like that's my job that only I do. But if he sees something that needs to be, hold on. Don't mind if I do. Floor cookie. Yep. If he sees something that needs to be done, he does it. If I see something that needs to be done, I do it. We work together to clean the kitchen, especially after supper when he's home for the evening. We work together to clean the house. We work together on a lot of things because we are a team. And that's something I think is so important for our kids to know and see, is that mom and dad are a team. And when you're part of a team, you both have to put the effort in. We work together to make things work in our home. And that is where I'm going to end today's video. Thank you for watching. If you want to be involved in these Q&As, if you have questions to ask me, make sure to follow me over on Instagram because that's just the easiest place for me to ask those questions or to get you to ask me those questions. It's a little bit more personal and easy to interact with you guys over there. But yeah, I'm gonna go now and I'm going to finish making these cookies and then I'm gonna package these cookies and I will see you guys in the next one.